right. Welcome to Truth Dojo. This is going to be a really exciting one for me because I get to be more authentic. I get to be more transparent. I get to be more clear on what the intention is and what's happening here. If everybody would mind making sure that you're muted when you're not speaking, just to make sure that there's no echo and stuff like that, and we can unmute as necessary. So, as you know, today begins the series on the topic of persona and the topic of dissolving the false personality or false identities. So one of the exciting layers that we are going to be adding today is, I just spoke with Hilmar, and for those of you who don't know, Hilmar has the ability to see energy, and so I've asked him to gently and politely call me out if I'm in a persona unconsciously during our meetings, so that I can demonstrate the real-time processing of what it means to leave the body and then come back again when there's some kind of inauthenticity. And Hilmar will go gently on me because there's, obviously I'm not doing this to escape on purpose. I'm telling you straightforwardly, like sometimes I'll leave my body. Sometimes the energy is so much, I'll be like, well, I'm operating from my robot right now. You're right. And it happens, and there's no shame in it. And so part of this is just creating a layer of giving myself an experience and creating trust and rapport with everybody, and just demonstrating that it's safe to own our personas, and demonstrating that this is good for us. It's not, it can feel like being attacked, right? But in truth, it's being remembered, it's being seen. And so the point of the Truth Dojo is to experience perhaps the intensity of being seen, the intensity of being in truth. And it can take a lot of discipline, it can take a lot of focus, and so that's why, for now, we talked about what if you gave other people a chance to call them out too, and we're like, no, for now, only me, because it'll just kind of open the possibility of what kind of transparency is possible. So I'll add also that everybody who's new, we're gonna give you a chance to speak about what brought you here. Might be a 1 or 2 minute introduction. Nothing serious, but we like to just give everybody a chance to say what brought you here. And Chanel, I have a last minute question for you. I don't mean to put pressure on you, but if you feel like doing a short opening meditation for us, that would be really welcome. You can let me know either in voice or in the chat. Yeah, good?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So Chanel will do a short opening meditation for us, and then we will continue to dive in deeper. And let me know in the chat if you have any confusion, if you need anything as we're moving forward. And yeah, let's all ground together. So I'll ask Chanel to take it over from here.
All right, welcome everyone. I invite you to close your eyes and feel your spine. Feel the base of your spine rooting down, connecting with the center of the earth. If your feet are on the floor, imagine that you're opening two portals at the bottom of your feet, on the soles of your feet. And you're dropping your energy down through the soles of your feet, all the way down through the many layers of the earth, connecting, anchoring in to this supportive, nourishing source of energy. And as you breathe in, you're going to imagine that you're drawing that energy up through these energetic portals into your body, feeling this warm, nourishing Mother Earth energy coursing up through the soles of your feet, through the base of your spine, all the way through your chakras, aligning your spine now, feeling this energy at the crown of your head opening to receive wisdom of your own higher intuition. And feeling whatever source of higher power, higher energy that wants to guide you and support you today. And feeling that energy coming down through the crown of your head. And now mixing in your body with that earth energy. Feeling your heart open. And as you stay with your breath, you're now going to scan your body. Noticing any places where you carry tension. Noticing any places that feel open and expansive. And gently inviting in more relaxation and more acceptance of exactly where you're at right now in this moment. Noticing any needs you have. Noticing any curiosities, any places you desire to grow. And fully welcoming all parts of you to be here right now. Knowing that there's nothing wrong with any way that you're feeling, with any thoughts in your mind, with any sensations in your body. That it's all here to guide you on your path as you come deeper into alignment with your true self, with your heart. That even the places that carry pain are just here to show us more of ourselves. So allowing these parts to be here as part of your intuition and your guidance. Letting yourself drop fully into choosing this journey. And choosing to trust this space, this container, to be a safe space to hold all of you. However you show up You will be held. Trusting in this co-creation, trusting in the hearts of your fellow journeyers. Breathing deeply into your heart. It's safe to be exactly where you're at. And it's safe to open just as much as you feel comfortable opening. On your next in-breath, thanking your guides, thanking the earth energy and the cosmic energy. And as you exhale, starting to bring yourself back into this room, perhaps opening your eyes and taking in the faces on the screen in front of you. And if it feels safe, starting to scan every face in front of you. Just allowing whatever is arising in your body. And perhaps setting an intention in your mind for what you would like to receive from this space today. Thank you, fellow cosmic journeyers. I'm going to turn it over to Joshua.
That was amazing. Thank you, Chanel. Brought me to tears, actually. That was so cool. Yeah, today feels like it's going to be a very intimate process. So I'm excited for all of what's to unfold. If it's your first time, we could do a little popcorn, just 1 to 2 minutes. What brought you here? You can unmute yourself and kind of manage amongst yourselves, kind of who goes first. And if you could share along the lines of like the theme of today as well, like what brought you here for the topic of persona as well. John?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for letting me join this group. I just want to say, first of all, I understand that everything's completely confidential here, so I will certainly respect that with my full self. I guess I arrived here randomly. It was not so randomly, but you know, there's a bit of that in the universe going around. So I just wrote to Joshua 5 minutes before, well, let's say 20 minutes before it all started. My wife sent me the link, and she said, "Check out this group talking about persona." And I wanted to try some new things. I wanted to talk to some new people, try some new things. Sometimes I get, sometimes I get a little paralyzed. I'm a writer. Sometimes I get writer's block, and I'm just looking for new avenues to open up my psyche so that things flow some more. As far as persona goes, that's a complicated topic. I think I have lots of personas. I've been told I have too many personas. I'm not sure that's a bad thing at all. I think basically I think I'm a good, simple person, but actually I'm very complex. And as Walt Whitman says, I'm lazy. I have potential for evil. I do bad things. I'm jealous. And I'm also, I can be energetic and happy and all those things. So persona kind of, for me, is a way of putting some of those darker energies on the side because you have to. There's the potential there. I don't know. I'm just kind of riffing on
Cool.
something about persona. I think there's a lot of them, and I look forward to whatever we explore here. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, John. And do you feel open to transformation, a personal transformation?
Yes, I do. Yes, of course I do. Yes.
Okay. Cool. Thank you so much for sharing.
I can go. My name's Kristen, and I've been Joshua's Facebook friend for a while, so kind of been following his doings and been aware of the dojo here for a couple of months. And I don't know, this one just particularly lit me up. I've been really interested in the whole idea of different personas and personalities. I'm not sure of exactly the difference, but and the idea of the dissociation that happens sometimes with traumas, no matter how mild they might be, for a while. So yeah, I just really felt like I was gonna learn this new way of processing that I didn't know yet. So possibly feeling that, yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I feel your openness. It's beautiful. Cool. Lissa, yeah.
Melissa, and I met Joshua yesterday, actually through Katie, who I know through Mike, and I'm just so excited to be here for community more than anything. And I mean, it's really nice to see that there's a community that's not focusing specifically on one particular kind of craft. I've done so many Zoom meetings recently that have been on a topic, or I love the idea of community where we just talk about being, what it is to be. That feels like it really scratches an itch, and anything that has to do with moving through trauma, I'm about. And the idea of persona, I've been thinking a lot about, because I feel like we naturally tend to have a persona that we show online, as opposed to the persona who we are in our three-dimensional life. And I'm interested in the overlap, and also interested in shedding as many veils or layers as possible, so that whatever we show on the outside mirrors what's on the inside as closely as possible. So thank you for having me.
Beautiful. Yeah, and I loved your group yesterday. It was really fun. She's part of the leading a writing group, and we did some writing in the group yesterday. It was great. Yeah. And then Mike also, who's about to share, was in the group as well.
That was confidential. Guys, that was just a clownish persona of mine. Happy to be here. Lissa is my friend, Katie is my friend, and you're all my friends as much as you want to be. But I've known Katie for some years, and she told me recently about this group, and I like the interactions that I've had with her and the conversations that I've had, and so this is that is why I'm here. And with respect to persona, this is the first time that I knew about the group that I was available to come, and that is so, not that I'm not interested, but just wanted to be completely open about the fact that I have nothing to say about persona.
Love it, Mike. Thank you. Mike wrote this epic poem. It felt like a rap yesterday. It was so cool. I want to see Mike rap sometime.
Thank you, Joshua.
Cool. All right. And I guess that's everybody who's a first timer. Yeah, okay. Great. Thank you. Mike, if you don't mind muting yourself during the interim. All right, so I'm gonna drop back into my space here. You could say that this is also an energy healing experience because so many people are present with the authenticity of this. You know, me as much as possible, and you know, everybody is really sharing our energy together here, and so things just naturally kind of fall out of their stuckness. Things kind of actually we are guiding each other back into this space of truth, and it can be intense. It can be emotional. It can be jarring. It can even feel unsafe just because we're used to intensity being unsafe, but we are all held and we are perfectly safe. And so we're normalizing a different level of how much we are allowing ourselves to be present. So I'm going to kick it off here with sharing about my process. So last night and for the last several nights, I've been diving very deeply with Katie, and I've been letting some of my own personas be seen and acknowledged, and it's very painful. It's like, you know, there, as I mentioned in my Facebook post, there's the professor persona. There's like very distinct characters. You know, there's like the clown. I think we're gonna clown with Q later today. There's the little boy who's wounded and hurt and scared, and all these different ways of acting are based on strategies to elicit some kind of effect in other people, right? So it's manipulation strategies, you know, not that this is evil, but we have strategies to try and feel safer. So if I am feeling unsafe, manipulating other people's attention or feelings is a strategy to get them to see me differently, either to get them to see me more accurately or to get them to see me less accurately, right? Because I don't like who I am at that moment. So trying to flip someone's attention. I don't know if everybody can feel the energy, like feels kind of like, I don't want to say anxious because that's like a way to flavor it, but it's just a high intensity. It just feels like excitement at the moment right now. And it is exciting. It's exciting for me to burst some of my bubbles. It's exciting for me to be honoring myself, to be transparent in front of community. It's scary to be seen as potentially human. It's scary to be seen as potentially like fallible, right? Like to be able to have my personas penetrated, and it's scary to be seen as hurt, right? It's scary to be to be seen as something other than all-knowing and all secure. And so the deliciousness is in the area of fear. And so I'm really honored to be in this process with you. Today's persona is the 4 weeks. Today's specific topic is the origins of the persona. Hilmar says that I am holding back. What comes out of these things that you hold back? Hilmar, if you want to just say it with your voice, that's also cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So to act contra on these things that do not want to be seen, like to come forth with these things, to be out front. There is something admirable about doing it in a group in such a way that what you're doing is that you're opening a rift or a portal for people to look at a certain structure which is inherently all of ours. So it's like an opening that is being created. That creates, you have to come, and the reason why I say humility is because humility is total key. Humility is the outcome. Like you can't choose to all of a sudden be humble, but you can do stuff that creates humility in you. And this, all of these things you mentioned that did not want to be seen or come out in the open, if they are seen and come out in the open, and if you are treating it with the utmost authenticity, then humility is that which is the product of these actions.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. And we talk about humility a lot, and Hilmar sometimes says, humility is the direction of like who you really are, right? It's the truth in you, so it's relevant for the truth of you. Yeah, so today is the origins of the persona, and so I'd like to another way of saying that is, how do these coping mechanisms get developed, right? And so, like John mentioned earlier, these are not bad, because this isn't about right or wrong, right? This isn't about good or bad. This is about how are we unconsciously protecting what doesn't need to be protected, right? How are we unconsciously putting up walls and barriers because of old patterns that we've learned that we need to unlearn in order to release the blockage against letting more love in and letting more love out, right? And just being love. So you could say that an alternate name for today's session is the formation of childhood coping mechanisms, right? The origin of the persona. So that was basically the intro to this session. As we continue to move into phase 2, it's going to be an open table where we can do kind of a popcorn style, you could say. And everybody here has a lot of wisdom, and we're going to let every person move the energy according to what feels true for them. And this is a very sacred way of doing things. It's very, very sacred space. And so everything that one person says is kind of like, it's a divination. It's a synchronistically timed addition to the conversation. And so whatever you say, that is literally like no pressure. But this is divinely timed whenever you chime in. I will ask that everybody, I just want to encourage everybody to take a risk and say something. If you would normally just be a fly on the wall and not say anything, I would really encourage everybody to participate in the conversation in some way. And yeah, we're all very much on the same page as far as really asking, what am I avoiding right now? Katie likes to ask, what don't I want to share with you right now? What I don't want to share with you right now is that I am, I'll just do it for myself. I might maybe have to pee a little bit. What I don't want to share with you is I feel a little bit of a you could say a separation between the people who are new and the people who are not new in the space. And this is also why we're only opening doors at the beginning of the session of the series now, so that there's no possibility for new people who haven't been here before coming in later. So it kind of deals with that issue. But yeah, so that's for me. So I want to encourage you to go into the what I don't want to share with the group right now space. And yeah, I would like to hear about your personal experiences with or how you're experiencing your personas now, or if you feel like there's a really relevant wisdom about any of these topics that you'd like to share with the group. And so I'm gonna end my portion here and let the space open up, and it might be silent for a moment until someone realizes, like Katie, that she wants to talk. And thank you all for participating. Oh, you're not hearing your voice for some reason? No. I don't know what's wrong with your microphone. If you want to come in here and use my microphone, that would work too.
Sorry.
Oh, can you mute that one?
I tried.
Thank you. You can just sit next to me.
Okay, great. Oh, this is fun. Okay. Hi. It's like a Zoom magic trick. Okay.
That's cool.
Ooh, I just wanted to share because I was feeling so much the intensity that you were describing as anxiety. I was like, oh God, it's me. Oh no. I was like, that was my energy. Might be a lot of people's energy, I don't know. But I noticed so much during the meditation made me like tune into what's going on inside of me, and like all of the internal monologues of like, oh, I see that I really want my friends Mike and Lissa to like this because they're new, and I hope that they like this, and oh, I'll make it so they like it. I'll have to be fun. And then it's like, oh my God, crazy, you know, because it's like, I mean, it's not crazy, it's just a persona. But what's interesting is like that kind of popped up as like, that's something I don't want to share with the group. And then it's like, dang it, that means I need to share it. And I hate wanting to be liked. And it's interesting though, like hearing Joshua talking about that was like, it's like the process that I have to go through though, when I notice there's a feeling of like tightness or whatever is indicating to me that there's something in me that I don't want to let out, then I'm like, dang it, I have to let that thing out. And so the way that I get into it, the only way to get into it is to love the shit out of it and to be like, oh, that's so sweet. Oh my God, you want to be liked by your friends. That makes sense. Like everyone feels that way. And like really be so gentle like you would be with a child who's just like, the child that probably initially developed this coping mechanism because you wanted love. And so maybe this is something that I'm just thinking of right now, but it's like, oh, the process of eliminating the need for coping mechanisms is to realize that we actually have the power to source all of the things that that part of us wants, right? Like we actually have the power, or we have the thing that that piece of us is looking for, like that reassurance and that love. And when it becomes sourced from ourselves or from our souls, from our, when we're able to reassure ourselves in whatever way we need, then the outward persona knows that we're no longer showing up in the world saying, I need something from you. I need you to react in a certain way so I can feel a certain way, which is what manipulation is. And it's not necessarily, it's not done with malicious intent. It's just done as a coping mechanism to feel safe. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess I'm trying to feel into anything else that I don't want to share in the group. I guess I'm feeling a little bit like, oh, was I too much when I shared that? Was my energy, was this too big of an energy shift? Yeah. Oh, thank you. But I was like, oh, I want reassurance. Like, and the fear of wanting reassurance is something that comes up all the time. So like, actually, this is something interesting to talk about with Joshua in particular, because like, when I get into that place where I feel like my needy child self, I get insecure. I get insecure about my insecurity. And it's like, I'm afraid to just be like, can you just like hug me for 10 minutes? You know, like, I don't know how to ask for it. And then I try to hide and it kind of spirals out of control. So the more I can get comfortable with my insecurity, and like a way of meeting my needs can be, I don't have to just self-source it. I can also say, hello, person that loves me and that wants, like, hey, you say that you love me, so maybe you'd be happy to remind me that I'm more than this wounded child that feels like it's running the show.
Remind me that I'm safe.
Remind me that I'm safe. Mm-hmm.
It's a team strategy. You know, I've been going through, if you don't mind me sharing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been going through some really deep processing. Thank you, cannabis. For the past few days with Katie, and I've gotten into some places where my whole nervous system is just so afraid, and it's hard to identify exactly what I'm afraid of, but I was just like, I need you to hug me now. Like, this is a hug emergency. I need you to hug me immediately. And it's so liberating to be able to own like that experience, because the persona would be, I'm fine, you know, like oh, I'm gonna get out of here just fine. No worries about me. Don't just pretend I'm not here. But, you know, I need you to hug me like the most you've ever hugged anybody is really honest, and that creates a new lens where I haven't given myself that permission before. And this is what dissolves a persona. So, you know, it's not about making anything wrong. It's about making it right, really. It's about honoring ourselves. And yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Okay. And this is in lines with what we talked about in the beginning of this dojo meeting, that I would point out what I would notice in the field. And so what I'm seeing is that what she's doing is that she's making it painfully obvious for you all the places where you haven't accepted yourself, and therefore you need to get her acceptance and feel the love right away, because it's really hard to stand, on your own when you kind of feel like your feet is made of bread, right? And so how does this feel when I say that?
Yeah, totally. I guess this is sort of when we talk about like the testing, like there's this tendency where I feel of her like testing my integrity over and over again, and it seems like her real mission is she wants to find out where I'm protecting myself so that she can love it, right?
So can it be that what is just in her being is to push you in your place where you're standing authentically in your own strength? Would that be, just something which is in the nature of your relationship?
Yeah, that sounds true.
Okay. So the way to go at it would be to when you feel this feeling that she's making you feel all the places in you where you're not accepting yourself. Mm-hmm. So it's like that her presence is like being very like there's like a light being put on you, and you're looking at yourself in the mirror while this light is being put on you, right? So if you would be able to remove the sense of, ooh, this is really hard, like, oh, like the trembleness,
exactly.
Like, and if you would be able to come to this place in an observing type of a manner, like that you own it, mm-hmm. Then that would be very, very useful. Then your relationship would be a win-win-win. So.
Exactly. So for me, the way I translate that is like allowing my inner adult to like be able to make decisions for the inner child as the inner child is having the experience.
Well, pretty much just to own the whole field of and do with yourself what is needed in the situation. Like there's always a place where you meet yourself in situations like this that are going to make it all good, like the Band-Aid, like the healing process. Yeah.
Right.
Mm. Yeah. So, and I want to say in general, and not regarding this, what I noticed, but that the creation of the persona, the personality structure, is firstly based on fear. Like, and that's on one level. That'd be in our three-dimensionality, like where that the personality structure, the whole basis of the personality structure starts because this is a frightening place and we have to survive. That's where we start to develop the personality structure, is to be able to deal with things that come up. And therefore we create our patterns and so on and so forth. So the personality structure is in its essence a collection of experiences which are put together. So you might say that one experience is down here and the frequency right here is maybe yellow. And then there's another experience here and the frequency here might be brown. And then there's another experience here and that frequency might be blue. And then we take these things and we clash them together and we say that this is supposed to be one whole thing, right? So, but it isn't, you see. The personality structure is a collection of frequencies and experiences. So it's always something in our past, you see. I really love the phrase that that there's no one here, like that that there's a and what they're really pointing at, and I truly disagree with it, because the soul is somebody, but what they're pointing at is the dissolving of this personality structure. That what they found out was that these are just a collection of different experiences from different places in the frequency ladder, and they can't make one whole thing out of it. So it's like a dissolving of that thing that you thought you was, which is the storyline. So, but yeah, something happens, and it makes it so that we need to survive. Usually around like 3 or 4 years old, and it's at the same place where our brain is getting to know our name. And what happens is that we get a big garbage bin and a little sticker, and we write our name on the sticker and put on the garbage bin, and then we put the garbage bin on our backs and we start walking through life, and we take everything that we relate to, be it negative, positive, something we can stamp in different ways, and we put it down into the garbage bin. Yeah, I talk like this, these words I connect to now, or these are the clothing that I like now, or this clothing is awkward, and this is, ooh, I don't like that at all. And then we put all that thing, everything in the garbage bin, and then we pull out a sense of self. And then this thing is not alive. We think it is. So always when you're in the persona or in your ego, whatever you want to call it, then everything becomes like dust in the mouth. It's already gone, it's already done. You're always reacting to this moment by taking something out of the garbage bin to put between you and the stream of life. Because if a direct access of the stream of life to your being would be at hand, then this persona would not exist here anymore. So yeah, but it works by a few, it has a toolkit, like this persona. And luckily, this toolkit is universal in all of us. The toolkit is resentment or anger, fear, self-pity, self-justification, self-importance or egotism, guilt or self-condemnation, dishonesty, evasiveness, impatience or hate, false pride, denial, jealousy, envy, laziness, and so on and so forth. And this is like the toolkit of this personality construct. When you look, really closely at these things, then you can see that this is just self-love that somehow got twisted and ended up in being these defects, you see. So that's pretty much what it is, yeah.
I love that visual. I'm kind of getting this visual of when we come up against a challenging situation and we've had this garbage bag or this dumpster on our backs, and we're like, oh my God, I need to make a shield. And then we're just in there, and you have to piece it together with recycled materials, and you're like, here's the thing, or maybe I need some special goggles, and I'm gonna look at this situation through these goggles and it'll keep me safe. And then you realize eventually oh wait, this is just garbage. And you're like, maybe I don't need the garbage, and I can just look at it with these eyes. But it's the thing that the thing we're afraid of is letting in the truth and the love, because it's all actually love on a certain level. But also the arts and crafts shields that we've made are very important, because whenever we were in a place that we couldn't see the love as love, it did keep us safe. So it's almost instead of throwing away the garbage, we can take those pieces, those sweet little shields and sweet little goggles that we made out of egg cartons, and put them on a wall somewhere, and just be oh, remember when I did that? And it becomes a story that we can tell instead of a story that we are living. And to me, that's the distinction between like identifying as the persona and being able to recognize it as one of the, as something that's not us. It's like, oh, that was the thing I made from my garbage pail.
Can I say something?
Please.
First, Katie, I'm having a good time. No,
Thank God.
you need me to say that. You can have your own good time within yourself. I'm going to try to only say two things, because one of the things is I say a lot of things all the time. For people who don't know me, I'm a stand-up comedian, so my life and work and art and everything is talking. And so I'm going to try to be focused. One thing that you just said, Katie, made me think about how, like, sometimes, I don't know if you ever visited, like, a place that you lived or, like, went to school when you were a kid. Like, you know, go back to I've been back to my elementary school as a taller person, and, like, things that I couldn't reach, I'd be like, oh, wow, this is, like, I can certainly reach it now. But I could have been upset in the past that I couldn't because I was short. But now, now I know that story, like, you know, like an arts and crafts shield, you know, like literally I don't have the same problem that I did when I was short and couldn't reach things, but I still have as part of me, like, the memory of that thing, and hopefully it can be like a funny memory now and be like, oh, look at that, not stupid kid version of myself, but just like, you know, less grown in all the ways. And the thing that I didn't want to tell you is at first, I really loved everything that you just said, Hilmar, as well. That was, like, so beautiful and evocative. And also, one of the first things that I learned about you from Joshua is that you see energy. And that's a thing that I'm like, I don't think I do that. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a thing. So this is, like, something that doesn't make sense to me and brought up resistance in me. I'm like, who are these people? What is this thing? Like, what does that mean? And so having, you know, I feel like it's sort of like just a, you know, again, like a name written down on a thing that I don't have any context for. So it's just like, this is a label for this person. But then when you know, spoke and shared, and I'm like, at first I might have been like, what are your credentials? And there's this old joke a friend of mine used to tell on stage. He would say, for certain jobs, you shouldn't need a resume. Like, if you want to be like a botanist, you shouldn't come in with a resume. You should come in with a plant that you made, and you should be like, they're like, what are your qualifications? You're like, this benumquat, you know? And so I feel like me at the beginning, that was like, you know, who are these people, and what are their, you know, what qualifies anyone to teach anyone anything, to share anything with anyone, to open, you know, who vary, like, so, but the answer is you have demonstrated, you know, the garden that you have created or discovered or, you know, wandered through. And that is, for me, comforting to, because I also am like, I love Katie, I love Lissa, I love people, I love community. I'm like, oh no, I'm a woo-woo person, but is this not the right flavor, color, like letter? Like, am I in, quote unquote, the right place, a right place? Am I doing the right thing? And so I'll stop talking and say, yeah, I'm okay.
I love you, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, that was brilliant. As you're talking, I'm like, Katie, like, bring more comedians. This is great. Thank you. I love that. And yeah, totally understand how, like, you know, maybe Hilmar wouldn't have even liked to be introduced that way, because that can put a lot of pressure on him, or I don't know. But it's like, yeah, these kinds of things are some next level shit, man. So, yeah.
I also was like, when I was listening to you talk, I was like thinking, like, Mike is a seer of things. Like, the way that you are able to observe, and then you're not only a seer, you're also a sayer. And that's exciting because you're kind of this antenna. So when things hit you, they come immediately out of you in a way that is so unfiltered that we can't help but trust it. Like there's no, I feel like actually you're able to override your persona by saying, I don't care, I'm going to talk until it feels true. I'm just going to keep talking. I'm going to keep going until it feels true. And I know when it feels true because here it is. Oh, it's true. Okay, cool. And I'm done. Mic drop, that's fun. Okay. Anyways, but grateful for your flavor of what this is, right? We're all just finding our own portals into what's true. And Mike's style is probably unlocking things for certain people who's like, I've always felt that way about Hilmar and I didn't know how to put my finger on it. And then all of a sudden we get the sayer in here and it's like, oh, that was what I was feeling. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just add, I feel like I'm particularly not off balance, but because this is my first time here, I don't know, I literally couldn't know what it's like to be a part of this group, having not been a part of it. And so the role that I'm in here is new person, but the role that I play in so many other aspects of life is old person. So here I am, I'm look, I've been an old person. I'm a guy who talks about stuff. So what are we talking about? Should I listen and find out? Fair enough. Great. Okay, thanks.
That is so brilliant. I didn't even think of that. New person persona. It's so funny. Brilliant. Thank you.
You go.
Ooh.
Yes. Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, I already spoke, but I'm just blah, but so someone else should speak.
Okay, thanks so much. I've got a real energy starting in my chest, and I can tell my heartbeat in the last 5-10 minutes has been going up. And I've got this the thing I don't want to share is I've got this excitement about what we're talking about, because all I'm thinking about at the moment is my personas and how to heal them, because it's really relevant for my health, physical healing journey at the moment. And then also I've got this oh, look at all these cool new people and I really like them and I really want them to like me and I want to share something so that they maybe they like me more. And it's it's funny. It's a positive butterfly crazy effect in my chest. But one thing I'd love to share with you is a persona that I've discovered this week that was very much formed in childhood. So there was a lot of times at home and at school when I really felt like I wasn't really seen. I felt to my parents I was quite a blank slate that they could write on what they wanted, and they did that with all of the 4 girls in the family. So it'd be oh, you're smart, so you can be the academic and you can play the oboe, and all this kind of list of, they created my CV rather than actually seeing what the little girl wanted or was drawn to. And I realized that made me feel very invisible in many ways. And this persona carried on in school as well, when my peers were quite rejecting because I was the mega geek and a bit shy, so not that great at chatting to people. So I'd be quite easily become invisible. And I've been really connecting with this character this week because she's been triggered a lot recently when I've not been feeling seen. And she is angry. She's this, I've been drawing her and she's literally, she's invisible and she's just sitting there in defiance, fuck you all for not wanting to see me. I'm really cool. You have no idea. And it's very much a feeling of I'm in the wrong environment and that's why I'm invisible. It's not that it's not because I'm not good enough. And that was a realization I came to this week. I thought it was because I'm invisible because I'm not good enough, but it was really actually, no, I feel angry because it's the environment that I'm in that's not making me feel good enough. And that's this invisibility character that I've been trying to work with and then heal. And then another character that came up was who I call the monitor. So again, developed in childhood. I was very, my mom was quite volatile, slight mental health issues. So as a child, I was always checking this to see if I was safe. And I've noticed now that with friendships groups or romantic partners, if things feel unsafe, this monitor comes out and she's checking non-verbal, verbal cues to see how safe I am, see how people are responding to me. Am I still okay? Am I still receiving love? And this last week, I decided to do a meditation with my monitor. And I did this thing where I like visualize, kind of like pull her out of me to see what she looks like. And she was this like skinny, tiny version of me with like red eyes and big bags and like drawn cheeks, gray hair like falling out. And she was just like yakking at me like, "We're not safe." And I just like listened to her. And then I've been reading this book about feeding your demons. I don't know if anyone knows it, but the thing is, you like get the character, your demon, your persona to talk at you, and then you're like, okay, cool, so what do you want? What do you want from me? And I could tell she was just like, she just wants to feel safe, and she was just knackered. She's like, I just want to be safe, I want to sleep. And I tried giving her all these things to help her sleep, like a pillow with clouds and a duvet, and it just wasn't working. And then I ended up giving her this like never-ending drink, and she just gulped and gulped and gulped and gulped for like 5 minutes, and then eventually she was just like, and then a banquet appeared, and she stuffed her face for like 5 minutes, like, and then she was like, okay, now I'm done and I'm going to bed, and she went to rest. And I really felt I'd been able to like feed her and nurture her, and she's popped up again, but I feel like I'm getting familiar now, and I know why she was there when I was younger. She was very necessary. I needed to check what my mom was doing to check if I was safe, but now she's not needed. So now we need to heal her. And I love Katie's message of like hanging them on the wall. So I want to hang my like dead monitor carcass on the wall, or let her sleep, let her have a long sleep for a long time. So that's the two personas I've been working a lot with this week that I wanted to share.
I want to go after you, Flick, because that was freaking awesome. Oh my goodness, that was so great. Oh, I love it. Yeah, that was something new. I'm so like interested in this book that you were saying, and I can you hear me? Oh. Yeah, no, the book sounds really cool. So yeah, we're supposed to say, I wanted to tell you too that like, it was so funny because you were saying like something about not being seen as a kid, or like being like, oh, I'm interesting, like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, you know, I don't know, for me, I was like, the thing that I felt really, I realized I don't have anything that I'm uncomfortable saying, and I really don't want to have to say it with you here, because I was like, when we went through all the pictures and we were supposed to look at everyone, I was like, oh, she's so pretty, like she just looks really sweet, like she looks really interesting. But then when you're talking, I see, because there's a resonation that I have with like your persona, and but yeah, I have a part of me that's been coming out over the past year. And when I was little, like 11 or 12 maybe, I had an experience with a friend of mine who is an element, like she was a friend of mine, and we used to do like sleepovers and stuff like that. And so my first like sexual experience was with like her, and I had blocked that out of my mind for like many years. I knew that it happened, but like I didn't ever like say, oh, that was my first sexual experience. It was always like, oh yeah, I kissed this boy in 8th grade, and then, you know, I had a boyfriend in like high school or whatever, that was like for my first love. And those were always the things that my mind remembered to like tell and regurgitate. So I feel super uncomfortable like recognizing that I have an attraction towards like a female. Like I'm still like, I've already had like, I thought that I came to terms with that already, but I haven't. So yeah, that's really making me uncomfortable. I hope I didn't make you uncomfortable, Flick, but I was like, okay, this is really pertinent and potent, I think, for me to come like clean about that. So anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you guys. Oh, I feel so heard and so felt. I can see Jerome on my little screen too. You're so beautiful. Thank you for that little beautiful energy. That's so nice. Thanks, guys. Anyway, I'm done.
Right away when Michael, you started talking, I went like, oops, and there's a lot of energy in me, and I felt intimidated by a little bit by your energy, in a good way, because I realized that that's very different to my way of doing things, and I would love to be more like the way you are, and that was the intimidation of me being like, wow, somebody can do that, and I would love to do that, because I'm often the one who just keeps things inside and waits and tries to make so much sense of everything that then I end up being the last one to talk because I don't have something that's so well put together. So you definitely opened up something in me by being yourself and just throwing things out there and not thinking, but being so quick at thinking. That's something that awakened in me. And then I thought, what would be my intention to talk to the group, and there's been this thing already for quite some time, and it also comes from a little bit from my childhood. So I am a little bit of the story. So I played the flute. I was quite good at it. I think I was quite good at it, but I would be shit scared to go and perform. And I even now I'm shaking as I'm talking, and I get this a lot often when I work, because I work a lot with people and talking in front of people, and I always have the same feeling. And now my intention today was to think of, okay, is there something I can make sense of this experience that I so often have, which is this not to be wanted to be seen. Because I could make a mistake, and this was clearly when I was playing the flute, everyone in the audience was hoping me not to make mistakes when I would play the song, and I could feel that from the audience, and being afraid of that myself, that I would make a mistake. The next note would not be the perfect note, or the one after that would not be the perfect, and what would happen to me if I failed and I started crying on the stage, because I would feel so bad about it. And imagining that this is now 20 years ago, and I somehow still carry this inside of me when I'm talking to people. Like it's the exact same feeling. And now I've connected, while I've been in a group, and I had a few weeks that I wasn't present here, but even before, I've gotten back to that feeling of how does that feel when there's so much energy in your body that it's just too much to handle, and then it comes out as shaking, or as unthought words, or on just not being able to keep track. And there's a lot of energy when I talk. I even have my hand like doing this. And that's a journey for me to finding out how can I stay present with myself when that hits me, and how when I played the flute in front of all these audiences, how I abandoned myself there on the stage and was waiting for people to rescue me from the stage, rather than being there for myself and being the one who is going to rescue myself. And when I played the flute, I was 10 to 15, even 16, 18, and I didn't have the tools at the time to do it. So I would just wait for people. I would wait to make a mistake, and then people feel sorry for me, or I would just wait for it to be over, so I could go home and breathe again. And yeah, talking about it, I thought it's not so meaningful, but because it just makes my work very difficult, I would also want to get rid of it at some point, but then thinking, how can that become my superpower? I have no answer to that question, but
me even talking about it today, I might get closer to that truth. So yeah, that's from my side.
Can I ask you how you feel having just shared, like how your body feels different now?
It's shaking, like there's a lot of energy. It's the same feeling, and at the same time I have now more I'm with myself. There are moments when I'm trying to get out, like that I'm disappearing, but then I now notice that I can stay present. I can be here even though I have this feeling that's taking me away, or that's just hoping to get over with it and get gone. Now I actually quite enjoy it. And I also get this with my work, so that's why I keep doing the work of training and being with groups, because there's a lot of enjoyment to it as well. Thanks for the question. Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, it's easy to underestimate ourselves, but you know, you look to somebody like Mike and you say you envy the way he speaks so freely and his energy, but I would say that there is like equal value to listening to you speak and being present for you speaking, because almost the fact that it's scarier for you makes your energy that much more precious. Like, I'm getting so much energy from listening to you speak because I know that you had to climb over this wall even to get there. So I am thankful to you for speaking.
Wow.
Yeah, it seems to be that the superpower is simply in doing what you're doing right now. And because it gives this permission, this like really powerful permission to everyone who listens to you. And yeah, I think Hilmar is going to say something about this too.
Hey. So yeah, I just want to tie this whole thing together, or like see it from another angle maybe. All of this is fear-based, totally fear-based. Look at all of this fear. We've shared our fears here, and we have done again and again. And where does it come that there is something in us that wakes up into an inner situation that makes it so that we can turn around and look this in the eye? What is this really? Like, what is this fear? Where's it from? Really? A fear that makes it so that this stream of life, which we have access to, all of us, like that something happens in our thoughts, our feelings, and fear comes in, and just this stream of life just somehow just get chopped, like, whoa, don't have it anymore. So it's just all of a sudden you just start to vibrate of this, of this frequency, which is pretty much disruptive to everyone, I guess, to be around. And also the one who's experiencing having it it's destructive. Where does this fear come from, and why aren't we differently with ourselves? Like, why aren't we carrying ourselves in ways which are more loving, more intolerant, or more tolerant, not intolerant, more tolerant of ourselves? Like, why are we so harsh, like, on ourselves, like when it comes to life, right? It's like everyone has the same thing, like, and we all think that we're so special. Like, we have to tell ourselves the story of that we're being special and we're special, like and therefore we put ourselves into a box, and we close the box and we put that box into a corner, and that box starts collecting dust because we're so special. Like, we're not in connection with anything because we're so special. That's a fear too. You see, a fear of needing a certain feeling just to be here. So where does all this fear come from? Is it collective? Is it, does one person have fears which another person does not have? Probably. Is it like only like the change in degree, or like not huge like that? Or do we all have the same register? Yes, we do. It's like, it's like, human beings is like playing let's say a certain instrument, and you're playing the human being instrument, and this instrument only has this range, and we all have the same range. Like, so I just want to really just try and install this question into all of you. Like, where does this fear come from? Why am I afraid of being free in life? Because it's a mirror thing. Like, it's not really like you're not afraid of the people out there, really. Like, you're afraid of your feelings. You're afraid of what you feel when you're carrying you. That's what you're afraid of. That's what I see in most people, like in most personality structures. Because the personality structure, just the existence of the personality structure, is the circumstance of having lost yourself. And the self is the light of your soul. So when you're there, that hurts, you see. So we're afraid of our own light. We're afraid of losing our own light if we get that, into having or carrying our own light again. Like, to lose our own light after having lost it and found it again and then lose it again. That's like the worst thing that could ever happen. So what are we afraid of? A feeling in life? Something tangible? Is it intangible? Like, is it fake? Is it 99.99% lies? Does it ever happen? Like, your fears, do they ever happen? Do they really manifest themselves? Like your storytelling, where is this coming from? Is it all of ours? I think so. I think it's all of ours. So another thing that I wanted to and it's another thing that we all have in common, every human being, like, is the question of self-worth, or being good enough, or the fear of being good enough, right? Where does this come from? Why is it even there? Like, I'm here, I manifested myself physically, I must have been good enough. You see? So the question wasn't there before I came here. So why is the question here after I come here? You see? So, and I want to try and be really precise when I'm describing this, because this might be a release or a aha moment for someone. So when we are children, our parents are our gods. And most people, we have baggage. Like, most people have somehow lost themselves. Most people have somehow lost their connection to their innocence. And when there's a small child standing in front of that type of a person, which most people are, then standing with heart open, with the light of innocence shining at that person who has lost that, the only thing that person can do is just take a dagger and like poke that dagger right in there, you see, because it just can't do it differently. So and I'm not saying that every parent is inherently bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this is how unconscious patterns move from one person to the other. So so we learn to, because our parents are our gods, then we learn to weigh and measure ourselves in terms of their existence. And when God shows me that I can't get the attention that I need, that I need to work for love, that I need to make myself worthy. That's just a slippery slope for a small human being. This is an easy way to lose yourself. So then this is where the question of self-worth comes in, you see, where the parent is not able to give the attention, the love, the light, the presence needed to be able to mirror back to that child that child is an eternal creation of God. Yeah? And then we lose ourselves, you see. And then the question of self-worth comes in. So, and I'm going to put this in a different context. You don't go into a bar to ask an alcoholic drunk for business advice, right? Okay, and I know that this is a little like harsh to say like this. Like, you don't go to an insane person and ask for advice about how to live in your life, right? So, and I'm not saying that all of our parents were insane people. I'm not saying that. But when you put it into this context, that the little child asked the question of self-worth, because the background being people who were not present, even with themselves, then maybe we can release this. So, yeah. That's what I wanted to say.
That was really awesome. Thank you.
Can I add a quick thing?
Yeah.
A friend of mine just recently left a job, like working at a university, and she is working on some more creative projects because that's what she wants to do for shorthand. And she had somebody who worked at the same job, the same big organization, who was like giving her advice to not do that. And she was like, I don't want advice from you because you're where I am. Like, I know how to be where we are. Like, I want to take advice from someone who's where I want to be. And one thing that I love as a footnote to add to the thing that you said, Hilmar, about who to ask for what advice. Like, there are some people who, like, let's say, struggle with mental illness, but then get a handle on it and live with it. And then those people certainly might be the perfect people to ask, like, how do I live if I also am struggling with a similar mental illness? But I think it's important to ask for advice or look for guidance from people who seem like they are farther ahead than us on the path that we are either on or want to be on, which I think is what you were saying, essentially. Oh, no?
No, I'm sorry. Maybe I should try and be more clear. So what I mean is that that the parents, when the child is asking this question of self-worth, and it's asking the question of self-worth because of the behavior of the parents, and the parents, they aren't able to reflect back at that child that it is a divine creation of God, and that's where we start losing ourselves to begin with. And so to ask the question of worth with the background of those parents not being able to reflect that back because they have lost themselves somehow, it would be the equivalent to go to a car salesman to buy ice cream. Right? That's what I mean. And when you really understand that, then this whole question of self-worth, to understand that the question of self-worth is a misunderstanding in the child's mind because the child does not know better. And this thing, and when we're children, misunderstanding of children define their whole lives, you see. So a lot of the things that we go through as adults, well, at least me, and people like myself who are going through a process of unraveling what's inside of me so that I can heal. It kind of fell out of my head. What was I going to say? Yeah, brain melt. It's just gone. I don't remember what it was. So.
Did you have something else?
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you, Hilmar and Mike. I kind of I feel like I agree with both of you, even though you think that you're saying different things. But I appreciated the question about where does this fear come from and feeling into it. Like, I am in fear when I mistake myself for the personality or for it seems so obvious when I'm identifying with the light of my soul, when I feel like I'm in that place where I am eternal. It's like the question of self-worth is ridiculous because it's not even a question. But once we become aware of the self, it like all of a sudden gives us something to be afraid for. I just want to feel into. I was kind of taken aback. I wasn't prepared to share this, but I'm trying to remember the thing I wanted to share before. And I also wanted to write down something that you said. So perhaps I'm not the best person to share right now.
I can share something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was working with Hilmar actually on one of my own stuff, one of my own things, and it was in relationship to my father and how he said, I can see that you're not seeing your father accurately. He said, I can see that you're not seeing your father clearly, and your relationship with your father is kind of muddied by a persona. It's muddied by a childhood misunderstanding, right? And so this is innocent because as children, like he said, our parents are our gods. And so if we grow up under the, paradigm of distorted gods, we're going to live in a distorted world, and we're going to experience self-worth through these lenses mixed with our own natural true personality, our true self-worth, our true divinity, right? That doesn't go away. We just misunderstand what it is, and it becomes a remembrance process to come back to that divinity through whatever filters, whatever distortions are fed to us initially. So I think you'll already know that, but I just wanted to put that into those words. It feels like I like to wrap it up in a tight little bow. Yeah, cute.
Hey everyone. I want to first share that at the beginning of this meeting, seeing the new faces in the group, just feeling a lot of love and compassion and appreciation for you showing up in that new person persona, if that feels accurate for you. My heart is beating fast now. Something that I've been feeling about personality construct is that it's not a problem. The problem comes in being rigid and inflexible around how I view my personality construct and needing it to be a certain way, or being like, this is my garbage pail of stuff. Like, I'm gonna hold on to this. Like, I really need this stuff. And instead being like, what is this? Is this helpful to me now? Like, can I make some goggles out of this to like help me see or understand my life and how I'm walking my path by looking at the stuff that I have in here? And that really helps me because I really want to love everything. And so being able to be like, I have a personality construct. Okay, how can I be with that? And how can I love that? And how can I welcome it so that I can release the things that aren't helping me be powerful in my current state, and embrace the things that help me move in this world where it's such a gift to have a human form and to have a body to experience energy and matter coming together. So for me, finding ways to embrace what's there for me and allow things to move and change is really been helpful. And it's also really scary to be like, this part of my identity that I've been holding on to and has given me some like stability or something, even if it's based on a misunderstanding, like there's some safety there. So being able to be like, okay, I don't actually need that, and I can let that go, and I can trust in what is fresh and new arising from what is arising everywhere in every moment, and I can be intimate with that and part of that. And in thinking about like misunderstandings of childhood, I want to share a memory that I have of being a little kid and saying, help me, Mom. And I wasn't able to say help correctly. And I would say kind of like hemp, or I wasn't saying it in a way that sounded correct to my mom. And so she would try to get me to say help correctly in a way that pleased her. And I realized that from that, I learned that I wouldn't be able to get help unless I had just the right communication. If I could figure out how to say it just right, then maybe I could get help. But if I didn't, I might not get help. And it also communicated to me that how I said something was more important than actually what I was feeling inside or what I was needing. And that's been a really big confusion, and it feels really scary and also really welcome to be releasing that. I mean, like, whoa, like I have a need inside and I'm gonna communicate it as best I can, but what matters is like coming from my authentic place, not being like all in my head, being like, how can I say this exactly right so that the other person is gonna respond to my need. And saying that, it's really scary to be like, whoa, like I might show up messy, and Katie talks about this, like showing up messy and just being like, bah, like this is what I have. And so being bare like that and really like surrendering to trusting myself and surrendering to that connection with the other person being however it is, and also discernment of like, who do I want to go to for help? And it's like what Hilmar was saying, like now that I'm an adult, who do I want to go to and shine my innocent light on? Do I want to shine it with someone who's gonna stick a dagger in it? Or do I want to shine it where, at least at this point, as I'm cultivating that light again in me, who can I be with and trust? And that is true. And also I feel a truth inside of me that like I'm the one that shines the light, and whatever dagger comes in, I want to be impervious to that, actually. Like I don't want to lead myself into situations that will cause that to happen. And I want to be with a lot of integrity in myself. I'm slowing down because I'm noticing my mind and kind of getting on a roll and wanting to be present with everything that's been said and with everyone here. That's what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Carly. So I wanted to create a little change in what we're doing and approach this from a different angle. And I want to ask a question. And I'm asking this question to all of you, and I'm hoping for answers like that maybe some of you would want to shed lights on the question that I'm asking and how I'm asking it. So this storytelling that we tell ourselves about ourselves to survive, our coping mechanisms. Have you seen in your own life how you tell yourself stories just to survive? Have you seen your own survival mechanisms? And is this a hard question? If so, what are they? Is it a way you look? Is it a well-polished outer that is like a crust for something gooey on the inside? Or how do you cope? What is your storytelling? Anyone?
I'm just feeling into this, and I need to always look smart and right. So I create situations in which, even if I've actually created an agreement with myself where I'm very open about my process up to a certain point, I think. And so it's almost like in my openness, I appear to be vulnerable a lot of the time, but it's like, it's actually a protective mechanism in some ways of like, I want to be unlikable. Like, you can't not like me because I've like taken so many precautions and steps to be viewed in a certain way. And I think I want to be viewed as I don't know, I guess and this is partially a coping mechanism, and it's partially a superpower where I can usually feel into what projections are on me, or like I can feel into that, and then somehow feel what the other person might need in order to feel safe in our interaction, and then I can like make adjustments for that. But it's a weird, I don't know how to answer this question.
Well, I can say it like I can know what you're saying.
Yeah, do that.
It's kind of, I think what she's saying, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is kind of like becoming more conscious is dropping the coping mechanisms. And if we have a coping mechanism, which is I need to become the most conscious person ever, that is like playing the game with itself, right? It's like I have a coping mechanism to drop all coping mechanisms, and so therefore I'm gonna win at the vulnerability game.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's like a slightly different flavor, but yeah, like right. I guess it's like I don't want to be out humiliated. Not like that. Right. It's a competition, but it's like I'm essentially being competitive about openness and humility.
Humble bragging.
Humble, yeah. Like
I want to give Mira a chance sometime.
So like
Helmar, do you mind if we give Mira a chance for a second?
Sure, of course.
Thanks. Yeah, I wanted to share because I'm feeling triggered right now. So I wanted to be transparent and explore my shadow and just name it in my process. But and I sort of see what it is, but I think I'll discover more as I share. But I'm like felt triggered at the, like, so it's not personal, but right, but this personal moment is creating it. But I felt kind of triggered, actually, Katie, by how much you've been sharing when other people haven't shared yet. And I wasn't judging you, but my body was just going into this response of like, I haven't shared yet, other people haven't shared yet, and I wanted to hear from other voices. And I felt it a few moments ago after you shared, and then you even shared again. And I was just like noticing what a big impact it was having on my nervous system. And, you know, I've been doing a lot of shadow work the last couple weeks and really looking at really going to the source of it. Like, what is it? What's coming up? You know, what's the root of it? And I think the way it occurs to me is like, I think I have like a hypersensitivity from my childhood to like accommodating, like everything revolved around my mom, you know, and she took up a lot of space. She had more narcissistic tendencies. And my dad just like allowed that. And, you know, I would deny my experience for my mom to stay present and continue receiving love and connection and not be abandoned. And so I think this experience, whenever I feel something in a group, which is both I think, you know, we've been talking about, there's like the super skill, like the sensitivity to flow and dynamics and space holding, but there's also the shadow, the wound, I think, that's showing up for me of just like it's triggered, like it's making something, there's some part of me that must be feeling unsafe or something, even though there's nothing going on that's unsafe, but it's triggering this like emotional experience of like, just kind of starting to check out like, okay, if this is not going to be like this isn't what's coming, but maybe this is a persona, like, oh, if it's not going to be like tuning into some of those sensitivities, like I don't want to play, you know, or like but it's not, I mean, I'm really exaggerating it to kind of give it form, but there's just an experience of total discomfort. And like, there's a part of me that wants to honor, there's like a truth in there that's like, there's some valuable truth that I have to say, while simultaneously not like managing the powerful energy that's coming through me and like speaking from a high place, not like from like a superficial place of like the moment, but like I'd like whatever I'm experiencing or feeling to be an offering. And so it's just like, yeah, I mean, as I've said it now, my system's like a lot more comfortable, but I think I'm, you know, in this place of like, I think we're all to different degrees, probably calibrators and thermometers or tuning forks or whatever. So it's like feeling so much of that. And how do I not have it be that anything's wrong, but be able to contribute, you know, if there is any information in there or a cue to me to be able to respond to it, while honoring, like I really just want to honor the part of my system where like my heart was racing and like my being was like, yeah, I think it also ties back to what I've been working on these past couple days, is like any little codependent behaviors I have, like even in some friendships, and just being really sensitive when there's, you know, I think it's a bigger conversation, but I've just been really looking at my dynamics with people where there's not just total trust. And I think something around just like not fully trusting is showing up for me too. And I'm really open to reflections, and I actually would love any reflection or response, because I'm sort of just in a discovery with it. And thank you for letting me be transparent around what was showing up for me.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. I just want to name that what Mira is doing right now is like simultaneous, like, here's my persona and here's the truth, and here's my persona and here's the truth, and so she's like doing this in tandem, knowing that like there's some fiction, and I want to be called out on my what I see it as like it's a distraction from intimacy, right? It's like it's like taking away from, or it's like a feeling I don't want to speak too much for you, but but you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's like I'm going into scarcity because we're going too deeply into one person's process, and I'm wanting to spread it around the group, which can potentially feel safer because because we're doing what's right as opposed to like going deep, right? And so I'm not saying there is right or wrong, but it's like really coming against like, is this fair? Like question of fairness, and a question of you know, can I get what I want, or you know, is this maybe, and you know, I hope you can receive this, but like you know, would this be a good time to throw a tantrum?
For the last part, do you mean like from like the inner child place thinking, would this be a good place, or like
yeah, from the scarcity place of like not fair, not fair, not fair, not fair.
Right. Yeah, I think I'll sit with it for the part of it being, I definitely resonate with, I mean, I like the idea of like, oh, is it a distraction from intimacy? Because then it feels like that feels inviting into like, oh, what can soften or, you know, stay open in a new way that allows, you know, what I desire in this experience.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm avoiding the depth though. I don't think I see it as going with one person means it's going deeper. Like it could go deeper in infinite different ways.
Sure.
But I think it is striking my fairness. Like I definitely have like part of my shadow persona, who I call Dark Hazel, is like righteousness or like justice. Like I can have a lot, like my path is definitely a path of like power and like really really starting to own where I think it's justice, but I'm really being righteous and letting myself see that. Like just because I think that's like playing God. Like if I think it would be better that we have more flow and one person doesn't share 5 times before someone shared at all, that can be my opinion. But like when it takes over my physical system, I'm playing God, which I really am owning and seeing and like wanting to surrender into that. And then maybe by like letting my inner child, who's the expression would be like a tantrum, like as an adult I just let the energy like run through my system, but you know, as we move into feeling each other more and more, people could feel it. Even if I don't act it out, people will be able to feel I have like hot energy going through my whole body. So I want to be I can have whatever experience I want to have, and I want to be responsible for the impact that has.
Yeah, you're doing great. Can I give a quick reframe, I guess? Yeah. So let's say, you know, mind if I use your name as an example here?
Not at all.
Okay. Let's say Katie shares, it impacts my energy. Okay, Katie shared, I'm integrating that. Katie shares again. Okay, more energy. Katie shares again, more energy. And so we talked about, I think in the last session or 2 sessions ago, what I called a trigger is an orgasm we're unwilling to experience, right? It's like the energy wants to flow and then we make a meaning out of it, so we stop it. So it could be, an alternative could be like, Katie shared again, and I'm like, right? Like this is an option, but instead of that option, we need to shut her down. Right, so that's what I mean by not wanting to go too deep into one person's experience, because when Katie's energy is like maybe overwhelming, it's only because I don't want to accept it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I really like that, because I am working with, I came to Hawaii and I was swimming with the dolphins a couple days ago, and it felt so intense, and I like had to like shut off because it was so positively overwhelming. And so that would be really cool if like this is another entry point into that. It's just moving past like right and wrong and into like opening up to receive the energy and just trusting the experience.
Yeah, exactly. And letting your body do the movement so that the mind doesn't have to make a decision at all. It's just Katie's sharing.
Well, and I just want to say, I really appreciate you sharing and also trusting that I wouldn't take this personally, or if I did, I would let it do that to me too. But that you sharing now is your way of like, okay, I'm feeling intensity and I'm speaking it aloud, and like I feel a relief in that. And I was also thinking you were probably feeling a lot of my shame, because I was like, I'm talking too much. I felt like a faucet as I was sharing. And so I'm sure you could all feel that of like, I'm apologizing as I'm saying things that I somehow feel moved to say. So.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, this feels good. This feels like a permission slip or an opening to like interpret my experience in a new way. So that feels exciting. Yeah.
My reflection mirror on when
anyone else has any comments, I'm totally receptive.
Oh, yeah, we'll see what you're on.
If this is interesting.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much.
I felt the.
My reflection mirror on when you first kind of like chimed in and said that. For me, I've been really like resonating with Hilmar's metaphor of like what the Truth Dojo is, it being like a kind of like take a real dojo, martial arts dojo, and kind of take that into the kind of psychological realm. And I really resonate with it because when I was like younger, I spent like 10 years doing martial arts in Japan. And so like I've got like childhood memories of like the respect and the energy kind of in the dojo. And so I really kind of carry that into this. And for me, when you kind of brought up your kind of values and boundaries and that kind of thing here, it really resonated with me as kind of like, when you're in a real dojo, like you're working with a real body, like two real bodies, maybe multiple real bodies. And those bodies kind of form the natural limits of what can be done, of how well you're going to perform your technique, maybe who's going to win if it's a fight, like, you know, if someone's going to get injured, like all of this kind of stuff is like limited by the boundaries of the real bodies that are there in the room. And to practice well, you need to be really present with not only your own body, but everyone else's bodies kind of at the same time. And I feel like in society, like in kind of normal relating outside of Truth Dojo, like we don't really have a mental presence or awareness of the kind of psychological bodies that we're playing with when we're talking to people. And that's why we have to kind of put this like defensive mask on so that we can kind of safely interact with, you know, day-to-day people. But what our intention here, at least in my mind, with Truth Dojo, is to kind of like pull that away, be really intimate and close with each other, and like really notice and experience all the bodies that kind of is like a psychological metaphor for body, I suppose, but all the bodies that are here in the room. And to really respect that and to work with that and play with that and try different techniques with that. And like, so for me, when you kind of like brought up what you said, for me, that was like a boundary of your body that you were like sharing with us. And it's like, cool, like now I'm aware of that. Like now I might not get injured by that part of you or whatever. It's like that, but like, it's so cool to like build up this image of like, what is the shape of each of our bodies, each of our kind of psychological shapes, so to speak. So that, because as I understand your shape, as I understand everyone else's like boundaries and values and shape, it makes it so much easier for me to be able to like say stuff that is maybe say stuff that is intimate and vulnerable for me, but also like positively threatening, not positively, like provocative, that's the word, for other people as well, but in that safe space, because I've got a kind of an idea of where people's bodies are. So anyway, that was a bit of a rant, but I just felt like Truth Dojo came back into my imagination there, and it was really cool to like respect the natural shape of our bodies, of our physical, psychological bodies.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Yeah, totally. I did feel like I was saying, like, that's where I did have a boundary in that moment, and it was coming up against like Katie's, or it was coming up against the flow of the group. It was like, oh, my like tail was like getting stung. So totally, thank you for bringing the boundary component and the magic, the fun of knowing that, and that it does I think it does create more, like being where we're at. I feel like I named where I was actually at, so I felt honest.
Hey, I feel that that I have something to say about what you are putting forward, and so I'm not so much listening to your words. I'm more sensing you on a deeper level. I'm more like scanning what's happening while you're talking and what it is that needs to say stuff and why it needs to say the stuff that it's saying. And so what I'm seeing is a little girl inside of you that is afraid of not having what she needs. And I'm seeing that this is something which is really on many, many levels in your life. And what I'm also is seeing that that you're in a process right now with yourself where I feel like you've isolated yourself in some ways, and I feel that you are in a process with yourself that you're trying to somehow come close to a part of you which is hard to come close to somehow. That you're trying to kind of like create a new path to be able to move within yourself somehow, and this is almost impossible. It's an impossible task that you've put in front of yourself, because what you need is the trust that you in the future will love yourself unconditionally, because that's not there now. So what I'm seeing is that this whole scarcity thing, which is going on, and that is going on, Katie, it might have been me, it might have been whomever else. It's just that this feeling inside of you would have been created just because of the inner circumstance that you have going on right now. So what I'm sensing is that you are in a hard place when it comes to a healing process, and that you're actually need some assistance where you are. That's what I'm feeling. What else is there? Yeah, like there's this thing of that you want yourself on these levels, but you just can't want yourself right there somehow. Like, and that's pretty much, let's say, that would probably be the most foreign, because that's just, well, it's not sugar coated, is it? I don't do sugar coated. That's not my thing. Yeah. So it's like an abyss, and you need to throw yourself into this abyss. And what you'll find out when you do so is that that you will find yourself. That's what you do. That's what I had.
Thank you. When you say not wanting yourself, do you mean like not being with that part of myself? When you say I'm not wanting the part that I want?
No, it's like that. Okay, how do I say this? Like, it's like that. Yeah, sometimes like to jump between three languages and trying to say, like, for freak's sake.
I have it that there's a totality, like every piece that's been spoken to is an aspect of this, and this is maybe like the more.
Try to ask the question again.
Oh, it was, or you when you said that there's a part of me that doesn't want myself.
Yeah. So it's like So I would have to turn it around then and say that there is something broken in terms of wanting yourself, right? That there is something broken in terms of carrying your own light for you, like to be totally at ease with everything you, like that your light towards you is, it doesn't flow, like the connection between you and you, there is shame in between there. That's what I'm seeing.
And permission is still the issue. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So
permission.
So you're trying to find a place where you can allow yourself to want yourself and your own fruition in life.
And for example, it might be the opposite of wanting yourself might be, it's selfish to care for myself. It's wrong, it's evil to want to be happy. It's wrong, it's evil to want to get what I want, kind of thing like that.
Yeah, or to be in coherence with an expression which is finished, like something that worked for you maybe months ago, and you're still doing it, and it's just not working for you in the same way anymore as it used to. And that can be whatever. That can be clothing, that can be looks, that can be, you know, how you do stuff, you know, and that might make you feel like hollow or emptiness somehow. Like when you can't carry yourself, like when you can't carry your own spark of existence when it comes to you. It's kind of like saying that you're not attracted to yourself somehow. That's it. So, yeah. So one of my teachers, she said, like in Danish, "Du tænder ikke nok på dig selv." So it's like you are not hot enough. You know, you don't think that you're hot enough for yourself. Like that's what she said to me. Yeah. Like you need to be hot enough for yourself. Like you have to have this like, you know, that you burn for you in life, and it has to be without question. You see. So and that's what you're trying to get at, but you haven't really found out how to just release, let go, and throw yourself down into this abyss. So, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Alyssa.
I have so much to say, and I recognize there are many people, and I want to speak specifically to what Mira brought up, because for me, because I had the same impulse, and it has nothing to do with my feelings about Katie, because if I had the time, I would listen to Katie share all day long. But the problem is, I want everybody to share all day long, and I recognize that for me, it comes from a place inside of me where I want to be listened to, because when I was very little, I didn't feel like I was, and so now what I'm looking for constantly out in the world is equity. And if I could, I would like merge souls with everybody else. And I don't think that it comes from a lack within myself or something broken within myself. I think it comes from this deep primal desire to reconnect to all the other souls here, because I think that we're all part of the same soul outside of these bodies, like when we return to the mass, whatever. So I appreciate what you said, and I think it was extremely brave. And I also feel like this feels like, I mean, I've never done group therapy, but this feels like group therapy, but like super advanced in consciousness, and I love it very much. And additionally, like to the point of personas, I always feel like, especially right now, that I am teetering between the persona who wants to be the teacher and the guide and share all of the wisdom that I have like read and consumed in my life, but also the small child who just really wants to be looked at and seen. And I'm just flipping back and forth between those things so much, and I just want to respond to everybody and really express gratitude, like not in like a platitude way, like in a I'm so relieved to be here. I feel like I'm taking a drink of water that I've been thirsting for a long time. And sorry, one more thing, that I think that there are lots of people for, like, if we think about back what we were saying at the beginning about the personality structure being, or like our personas coming from stuff that was built in fear from when we were younger, how so many people in this particular moment in time in our history, so many people are having those identity pieces ripped away, like either they're losing their job or their career or their whatever it is, like because of the pandemic. People are finding themselves face to face with a version of themselves that's not connected to their identity. And I think that those of us who are here in this group, I would guess if we came to this place, that we are in a good position to help hold space for other people who don't have as many tools to deal with losing identity, if that makes any sense. And anyway, thank you for letting me share.
Thank you so much. I just want to say how much I appreciate your voice and your enthusiasm. It's just so delicious. And when you were sharing, you said sorry a couple of times. I was like, no apologies. I'm loving this. So it's like nectar. So thank you. Jerome, please.
Guys, I have learned a lot in the last hour or two. So many metaphors to carry me through the week. It's incredible. Where to start? I'm gonna start at the top. Yeah, no, this is where I'll start actually. I came into this session with a question, and I'd like to cycle back to it at the end if anyone has any thoughts. That question was kind of, who am I without my identity? If my identity is a collection of habits or personas, and the goal, and they all come from protection or coping mechanism, then it seems like I should be removing them. And if I remove them, then who does that leave me to be? And that's a question I like to cycle back to at the end. But so this garbage truck metaphor, I just like imagine it so vividly in my mind. When I started working and started networking, work very much became an identity of mine. And whilst I had identities in the past, I was very happy to let them go and move on and continue flowing into the next one. But the work one, somehow it created a lot of power for me. I was quite knowledgeable and I was, quite networked or whatever. And so it gave me permission to basically ask for what I wanted, to share how I felt and what I was thinking. And that was something that I hadn't had like complete free reign to be like, this is what I think, until I had like a certain amount of power, like when I started working. And so that would be like the start of me kind of sharing the thing that I don't want to share with people, that I feel like I kind of got like addicted to that power in a little bit of a way. And so that was like the garbage bag that was like on my back. And so like my kind of like item I'd probably like I'd use to kind of like hang up on the wall. I'm not quite there to like hanging it up on the wall yet, but like probably some kind of like little Lego or Meccano type thing, because it was like, I know how to do this thing really well. Check it out. I can like restructure the Lego in many different ways. Look at me. And kind of like hang that kind of thing on the wall. But I really got addicted to this. And it wasn't all bad. I created a lot of really great stuff for a lot of people around me. So it was a really kind of constructive energy at the same time. But it definitely kind of like made me a little bit kind of closed-minded. And so that kind of takes me to the kind of intimacy conversation that we were having, where I felt like that was a bit of an autopilot me. And it created the kind of interactions that made me think that I was being connected with people and intimate with people. It created all the right kind of mannerisms, all the smiles and the vibes and the hugs and all that kind of a thing. But it wasn't actually like being present from the me that I was in that moment on that day, at that time. But I never wanted to go back to like real me, because that version of me was just like nothing special. That's kind of how I saw it. It was like, that version of me was just like anyone else in the room, so to speak. And I also feel like that, like this is a realization of the last week for me, is like that power really served me. That power really empowered me to, state my truth, and fearlessly state my truth, because it gave me a lot of security as well. By the way, if anyone has reflections, like even to the depth Hilmar went, I'm really down for that for sure, because it's real truth for me for sure. So as I kind of start thinking about letting go of that power, or letting go of like being the knowledgeable one or the connected one or something like that, it makes me really fearful that I will not be able to state my truth. I'll not be able to ask for what I want, or kind of be honest about what I need. Or kind of say I don't understand you or something like that, and that I'll kind of like fall down the hierarchy or something, or the respect level, or something along those lines. And I feel like in order to feel comfortable letting go of power, I guess, I need to instead develop my ability to relate and connect with people. develop my ability to articulate myself, but develop my ability to like connect at a more intimate level with whoever I'm talking to, so that I can integrate what they're saying with what I'm thinking. And I don't know, I feel like a bit more of a shared understanding could develop from that. And I guess I'm not describing very well because I'm not very great at it, but like I feel like I need some other way of being able to state my truth and express it honestly, to feel comfortable letting go of that power. So that was like the kind of one of the big kind of realizations that came out of this conversation today. But I also wanted to like weave into it this coping mechanism thing that we've been referring to a few times. I kind of have framed it as a thriving mechanism as opposed to a coping mechanism, because I was kind of okay before, and I was just normal before. I had my friends and I just lived my life, and I went through school and started university and life was fine. And then I started like using my garbage bag and like wielding it, and I became all powerful and shit. And I was like, oh, now I'm thriving. Like now I'm really stating my truth and sharing my mind and like learning and developing and interacting with people. So I don't know, for some reason it like feels right now, at least as it being like a thriving mechanism for me. And the fear is that I become normal again, which is, you know, you could say odd. Like, you know, yes, each and every one of us in this group is like inherently special, but I want to be more special. And I feel like I need the power to be more special. Yeah, I guess the journey from here is like to really appreciate myself, to appreciate, like, to really connect with what is special about myself, like without actually having to be a certain person or know a certain thing or that kind of a thing. So in answer, and to kind of close, in answer to Hilmar's question, like my shell or my identity is probably like being the knowledgeable one, or being the one that understands how things work, or who can reflect things back in an intelligent way and have a lot of context to pull into a conversation. And I'm only really secure enough to be getting out and meeting people in the last few months because I've got that back, having been in a burnout for the last 2 years. Thanks, Lisa. So yes, I need to be the understanding one. That's the only reason that might be the only reason I'm on this call, like having found out about Truth Dojo and had the confidence to end up here. But I don't think, I think it's a bit limiting to rely on being the person that understands everything to get through life. And so I'd like to drop into an understanding of my natural specialness so that I can strip away that shell of understanding, and just kind of be with people and be comfortable with being just as special as everyone else in the room, but, you know, special in my own heart, but like, so anyway, that cycles back to that question of like, who am I without my identity? That's kind of why I came into the room with that question. So yeah, that's me. Hi.
That was so good. Just feel so much heart on that, and laying it all on the table is really beautiful. We're gonna be moving toward wrapping up soon. I want to do sort of a last call for sharing. If anybody has not shared yet, I'm looking at Chanel and Nicole, and yeah, if something feels relevant for you right now.
I was thinking of sharing something that feels kind of edgy for me to share because I'm afraid of being judged for how woo it might seem or how just strange, and but I'm gonna go for it anyway and do my best. So I've been on the neo-tantric path for a while. So the neo-tantric being like the using the sexual energy to work through blocks and awakening through that path, mostly because I'm honestly drawn to it because it's sort of like a quick path like psychedelics can be, and it's also rather fun. And it can be really frustrating at times, but it's also pretty fun. So I wanted to share something that's taught, and what it is to have a self-pleasure practice where you deliberately don't do what you habitually do. So you have the way that you like to get yourself off or feel pleasure. But what if you could love yourself in a place where you don't usually let yourself go? And I find that what this does is it helps get, it's actually very challenging to do, like I'll just say that, but it can take you into places where you have never felt that before. You've never felt that part of you before. You've never let yourself be loved there before, but there's like an intense craving to be loved there in that place. So for women, a lot of the time this will look like, I guess I just know what it's like for women more than for a man, but I think it's similar, but it's like experiencing like really deep internal orgasm, or experiencing the orgasm with sensations that you haven't allowed yourself to feel before. And I think that can really open up blockages to allowing feeling and allowing yourself to love yourself in ways that you haven't before, or that have been like you've been cut off from sensation in certain places of your energetic body, like in your physical body, but more so like your energetic body. So it can take you to really like deep places that haven't been touched, like literally, like it's about practicing being touched in places you haven't allowed touch, you haven't allowed receptivity. And what I find is that it's, when I was saying earlier, it's really challenging to actually do, is when you hit upon those places, it can feel like, oh my God, this is really new. I don't know what to do. This is really unknown. This is kind of scary. And then usually the mind will like intercept and be like it'll stop that from like happening. But that's like, I guess I just felt like sharing this path because I find it really interesting, and it opens up a lot of energy. Even if you aren't able to get to orgasm in that way, in that path, it can still like kind of unlock certain things. So I don't know if any of that made sense, but that was just on my mind this whole time. So
I really appreciate you sharing that, and because that's like a practical pathway into our shadow, or into the parts that we think aren't loved, you know. And so I really appreciate that, and I've kind of done practices like that, but it's a good reminder for me to do that more regularly and not shy away from, for me it's usually in my emotional body when I feel like I'm too gross to self-pleasure right now. It's like, oh, what's that gross? What does that mean? What's the grossness that I feel towards myself? And love it in this actually like very tangible way. I just really appreciate you and appreciate what you're sharing. And it's like the same thing we're talking about, just in a tangible way.
Mm-hmm. And it's also like when I do breath work, sometimes like sounds will want to come out of me, like sounds that I wouldn't want anyone to see me make or whatever. And it's sort of similar. It's like allowing yourself to make the sound that you're afraid of being judged for, or like, so like some of you were talking about like speaking the thing like in words, and sometimes an easier, quicker path is just the sounding before the language constructs over it. So yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chanel. Yeah, it's a vulnerable topic, so it's really appreciated. Before we move forward, Mira, do you have anything you'd like to voice on what we're discussing in the chat there?
Oh, no, I saw both of your messages. I resonate with all of it. Yeah, I just think I guess I just think it's important to not speak to people like something is broken in them. And that's how what I like literally heard. So I think that that's just important to clarify.
Yeah. So one thing I'd like to share about that is when we're talking about the personality construct, it's tempting to refer to it as an it, but it's not really an it, right? There's like actually nothing actually there other than accumulations of, like Hilmar was saying, of experiences of interest. So there's not actually a thing. It's actually our false identities that make it a thing. And so the objectification dynamics of it is what cognizes as like that's me that is broken, but it's not actually me, so I can't actually be broken. So it's really important to, when we use the terms like broken or fix or other like mechanistic kind of words, it's impossible to apply these to the true to the soul, right? And so if we use these kind of words, we're only applying it to the belief systems, because belief systems, if they were physical mechanisms, they would be like malfunctioning, right? So that's why we're kind of talking about them systemically, but we never want to disrespect the actual human, the actual soul, the actual innocence. And so I think that is a really good, important point to clarify.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe the only piece for clarification, Hilmar, when you said sometimes we want to use a part of what is reflected back to us to make sure we are on control of our movements. Are you talking about that I took that I was the part that I brought up around the brokenness?
Yeah, if is it okay that I ask you a question?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So in the way that I spoke and from what I was pointing at, is there something in you that felt seen that didn't want to be seen?
Not, I mean, in a way that I think I would in any moment, but no, I want to be. I think if anything that I might experience with you a little bit, Hilmar, is just like some of my resistance that someone knows more about my experience than I do, like a guru syndrome. Like I don't. So there's a little bit of defensiveness of like.
I'm not here trying to be a guru.
I'm just naming it that shows up for me of like,
okay.
I know what's true for myself, and totally receptive to what you're saying and receiving it, and don't take it. I'm not taking in didn't 100% resonate, and that's our goal.
Yeah. So this thing in having a person which is a guru-like figure which you resent, is that maybe an expression of you wanting to have control of your own movements after having been seen like this?
Control of my own movements. Yeah, I mean, because I'm taking in what's being said like through a filter. So
exactly.
I don't know.
And you're taking it and you're owning it, and this is how you're owning it.
I mean, like I said in my note, like I'm sitting with it, and we'll be exploring it more after this. So I don't know if this is what it looks like. This is just touching on the part that I wanted to clarify this, because knowing this is a truth space, and being someone I'm very passionate about communication and what we say and receive from each other.
Yeah.
That it felt true for me to say, I don't resonate with that part as being in myself. Not, I mean, I'm open to that's from control, but I think it's just being.
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just you taking your movement seriously, pretty much, from what I see. But is there something in you, you know, from the things that I pointed at? Like, is there something in you that had the need to fight for its life afterwards? Did you notice that? Like, was there like a cramp that came forward to kind of fight for its existence? And I'm asking this for you, like, so not for myself or for the group as such. So.
And why don't we just clarify, like, we can just double check on the consent with Mira before we go into that. Do you want to? Do you want to explore that issue right now, or would you rather do it privately, or what feels right for you?
I'm very happy to. I have consciousness of the group, though, and like wanting this to feel like aligned for the next few moments. So I
think we're all here with you, and you know, everybody is here for this purpose and for this work. And if somebody has to go, they can leave, and it's no big deal. So I really want to honor that, like, we make sure we have your consent to do this. And
okay, cool. Thank you. That helps me relax.
Yeah, cool.
Kind of
me too. I thought we already had the consent, or else I would never start asking you these questions. So.
Right. Yeah. It's just the timing mostly is you know, might go a little long, but
okay.
This is the juicy stuff that we're here for. So thank you.
It is.
So what did you ask me, Omar?
So from the things that I pointed at, like, was there something in you that started fighting for its life afterwards?
I didn't experience it like that. But I feel like I'm opening to, like, yes, seeing where I'm going into where it's scarcity, like, which was something that was named. And now I feel more. I mean, there might be some apprehension because you also said that you didn't think I'd be able to do it without help.
That's my honest assessment. Is
so that felt disempowering. Is how to.
That's in the eye of the beholder. I'm actually trying to give you a gift, so it's.
Yeah, and I feel your service, and I'm being straightforward.
Can I also just share, like, when you're seen deeply by somebody, when I first met Hilmar, I've shared this often. You know, when I first met Hilmar, I was. I had a lot of fear come up too, like, okay, this person, like, sees my every movement, and, like, Katie and I are like, you know, do you think Hilmar knows we're having sex right now? so it's just like, a lot of it can be intimidating, and it's normal, and I've gone through this. It's several layers too.
I don't feel aware of a part that's fighting for my life, but I'm sure that's why I'm where I'm at. I'm holding a particular position, and I really like it.
And that's why I really asked the question, is because that this part that would fight for its life, like this, you know, this perception of self, is the same part of you that's in the way of you being able to let go and fall into this, which you need to go through for yourself, like. So that's why I asked him.
Well, I would love to let go. I'm not sure where or in what way, but I'm open to surrendering deep for ongoing.
Yeah. So where there's needed to be let go is that there's like storytelling, or let's say this there's this, let's say like that there's a being occupying the body. Let's just say it like this, just to use it in these terms. And this being is doing stuff to maintain itself there, right? Yeah. And that's pretty much. And you are a person who takes your spiritual growth seriously, and therefore you go at it like where it's where you feel that you need to do so. So, but what I'm seeing is that we're, okay, I'm gonna get this thread again. Yeah, it kind of jumped off me again. I don't know why. Yeah, the letting go is in the having to maintain this sense of self, right? That there is something in you which is very vulnerable and it wants to come out and it's really in pain and so on and so forth. And it's like that the playing field hasn't been created in such a way that that part of you can come out. Like that's what I'm seeing. So the letting go is in a certain perception of yourself that is actually a hindrance to your movement forward. Yeah. So, and then, you know, and when I talked about something being broken, I said so because from my own experience of having had this lack of let's say being hot for myself, like or you know, that this was hard, that felt broken. So that's where that word came from. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope you can use it, and we can talk if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you both. That's really awesome. I'm really appreciating this conversation, and thank you everyone for letting us go a little long, because this is the kind of stuff that we're really here for, and you know, oftentimes the juiciest stuff comes in the last 30 minutes, and so it's really special to me. Before we do officially wrap up, I would like to, since that conversation is finished, Nicole, do you feel like you would like to just kind of share a few words? You don't have to go deeper than you're comfortable with, but I'd just like to hear something from you.
Yeah, I'll recognize the fact that I have been sitting here for the past hour for this persona that I'm fine when I'm not. And like one of my coping mechanisms is I don't allow myself to get ugly. That's not allowed. And I'm not a person that likes to jump in or break things up or shift the energy too drastically. So it's just easier for me to hold back and smile and let everybody think that it's okay, so that I don't rock their boat. So that's kind of where I am right now, is I've been sitting here behind my persona for most of the meeting because it's easier than letting the ugly out or letting the ugly show. And when Katie was sharing about all the different angles where she wants to be likable, like mentally she's constantly, you know, deflecting and coming up with a new angle to be seen in a way that makes her liked. For me, that's physical. Like, that's on camera. I've been struggling to be present in the group for a couple of months now because it's really hard for me to be seen physically. And whenever I'm here with everyone, a lot of insecurity comes up for me. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm working through right now.
So funny how what you think is ugliness, I just see so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank
I feel suddenly, I don't know, I can't be the only one, but like the group just came together right then when you shared that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, great work, everybody. Obviously, we've pulled on a lot of heartstrings today and created a really, we all co-created this incredible experience, and I'm feeling it, and just really grateful for everybody. And as we exit today, Hilmar will guide us with a short meditation so that we can ground and like kind of transition back into our lives. I would suggest, if you need it, taking the space to just be with yourself after this experience, and try not to jump into anything too intellectual too quickly. Like be in the experience, and if you need to talk with somebody, everybody here can connect. You can find a friend, you can make a friend, you can talk with somebody you already know, but keep unraveling it. The session lasts even after we're done here, so please respect that in yourself. And we'll keep unraveling the persona over the next weeks in this series. I like how we did last time with after the meditation, the ending meditation, we kind of wrap up the conversation and then we can be in our own space. So I think for me, now would be a good time to say goodbye, and then we can do the meditation, and then you can just leave on your own terms, so that it's a little more of a harmonious exit. So just so we can all respect whatever energy you're moving through now. So I'll start off. Thank you. Thank you for coming and for sharing your light and for letting us move through this shared experience together. And it's the highlight of my week. Tomorrow, Hilmar, you're going to be doing a Kundalini heart transmission tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be doing the Kundalini heart transmission, which is a very powerful energy experience. You can contact us if you want a link, or you can search on Facebook Kundalini heart transmission. And otherwise, I'll see you next Saturday. Thank you. If you want to unmute yourself now, we can all kind of chime in, and then afterward, Hilmar can take it from there.
Thank you, guys. It's going to take me well over a week to integrate all these learnings today. I've seen such beautiful souls and beautiful minds, and it's an inspiration for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also feel I'm moving mountains, and it feels so simple in the end. And I'm grateful for myself, but I'm grateful for all of you. There were many moments I would have wanted to write there in the chat. Thank you, Mira, or Nicole, or Q, or Chanel, or Mike, Flick, Lisa, Hilmar, Jerome, and Joshua, and Katie. I didn't write, but I just want to say it now, that equally for everyone. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. I feel really grateful and notice this transformation from the beginning of our meeting to now, and having heard everyone's voices and coming together like this feels really beautiful and sacred. And so I want to acknowledge that and acknowledge each of you as a really important part of our whole as a group. And I look forward to talking with you again and being with you again.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, that was really beautiful. You're all so inspiring and brave and wondrous, and this group, like last time, just gives me permission to do the process and find the process sticky and keep going and feel like this is the right way, even if it's really hard. So that means a lot. Thank you.
I appreciate everybody's willingness to be vulnerable. I really think that that is the way into our evolution.
Your volume's a little low.
Oh no! What if I bring it closer? Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little better.
I appreciate everybody's vulnerability because I think that that is the way into our evolution as a species. So this is just a really beautiful microcosm of how I hope that all of society is able to function one day. And it gives me hope that we're on the right track. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Pleasure to have you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Joshua and Hilmar, for your space holding and facilitating. And I just really appreciate the connection with everyone. And I'm really happy we get to journey on together. So thank you for showing up and all of your presence.
Thank you. And thank you for going into your own process here. It's really a gift that benefits everybody.
Thank you.
I'm finding it hard to share, but I want to say I'm really grateful for everybody in the group. But I'm also feeling kind of quiet with myself and wanting to just like curl up in a ball and cry. So I'll probably do that in like 10 minutes. And it feels really good to feel like I can be the ugly parts of myself with the group. So felt important to say goodbye, even though I can't talk without crying. Thanks.
Thank you all. I love you all. Thank you for holding such beautiful space.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate it. And I would love for Katie to cry 5 more times right now.
Great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The crying stopped.
Yeah, great to have you here, Meg. That was really nice.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, Hilmar, please take it away.
Yeah, this was a really nice session today. I was just thrilled about how we moved about this subject, and to listen to everyone and share in our lives and especially in our growth together. It's really beautiful. So today I wanna do a meditation which cleanses away imprints from life, and things that we go through in life. There are always going to be energetic residue of any experience that you get. And this meditation cleanses away these energetic residue. So please, everyone, sit comfortably and Start by filling your lungs with air. Fill your lungs with air and hold the air in there. Hold the air. And when the air is supposed to come out of the body, then don't push it out and don't hold it back. Only release the air. And please do so now. Fill your lungs once more. And hold your lungs full. Keep them that way. Release the air now. Once again, fill your lungs with air. Hold it in there. Release now. And for the last time, fill your lungs with air as much as you can and hold it in there. Release now. Focus on your root chakra. And this very center of the root chakra. And say with me, I am a being of white fire. Say it loud. And then see how within the center of the root chakra, a white fire starts burning. Feel this fire. See how it spreads from the root chakra, spreads upwards. Out into the thighs, up into your intestines. I am a being of white fire. See how this white fire starts crawling up your spine slowly and up to your next chakra, the orange one, Hari chakra. Slowly comes into the Hari chakra, starts burning white fire in the liver, your kidneys, burning white fire in your spleen, growing wider. Filling up your diaphragm, white fire. I am a being of white fire. See how this fire crawls up along the spine into your solar plexus, inside the solar plexus. Starts filling up to on towards your chest and behind the heart. up towards your heart chakra, filling your heart chakra. I am a being of white fire. Crawling up the spine, filling up your chest, filling up your physical heart, burning inside your physical heart and behind the physical heart. On the right side of your chest, in the secondary chakras, growing wider and taller. I am a being of white fire. Crawling into the Vishuddha, the throat chakra. Cleansing up the throat. Burning in your shoulders and your shoulder blades. Burning right up to the face, inside the throat, up into your head, burning white. I am a being of white fire. Burning into whole face. Tongue is burning, nose is burning. Cheeks, ears, eyes, forehead, inside your brain. Pineal gland is burning in a white fire. Your third eye, your crown chakra burning in white fire. I am a being of white fire. Growing taller and wider, filling up your aura. Huge flame with you as the center. Your past, present, and future are all burning in the white fire. Focus on the flames. Sense them with your cells, your hair, and your body. Try and hear the fire with your inner ear like a raging fire. And become one with it. Sense it. If there's any resistance, just let it be burnt away. This is pure healing. I am a being of white fire. Continue being with this flame. Sense the fire above your head, in your hands, wherever you focus. Focus on your heart chakra. Breathe air into your heart. Through your nose, out the mouth. Feeling how it just expands. Letting your heart chakra fill up. Let it grow in size. And then slowly open eyes. Slowly come back to the group. I want to say thank you to everyone for showing up to the Truth Dojo. Yeah, I'm really honored and really blessed. Thank you guys.